Okay, I'm going to actually need people to look at what is happening here because this is exactly how we lose another generation. This is an Us Weekly article about Lili Reinhart being diagnosed with endometriosis. And this is a People article about the same diagnosis and story. On the surface, it looks like awareness, right? But when you actually read them closely, it becomes a masterclass in how misinformation gets normalized. In the coverage from Us Weekly, something subtle but important kind of popped out to me. They never actually defined endometriosis in that article itself. They do mention adenomyosis, but instead they hyperlink the word endometriosis and send readers to a different article that they published previously in the year. I think it was August 2025, which also highlighted other celebrities with endometriosis. So the definition was, outsourced to a previously mentioned article and stripped of a little bit of context related to endometriosis, mentioned adenomyosis, which is specifically reproductive based. Meanwhile, People publishes a slightly different descriptive lens altogether. Same disease, same celebrity, little bit different framing. This is not consistency. This is not education. This is more like a system that does not actually understand the disease and is trying to explain it, which is scary. And when media repeatedly frames endometriosis around one specific reproductive age range or a specific, phase of life, it quietly erases other portions of the population. Children, postmenopausal patients, the trans, non-binary, and intersex individuals, men, and not to mention animals. People whose disease does not present in a neat reproductive narrative box. That erasure has consequences. Now, let's zoom out because this is not new. We've seen this pattern before with Whoopi Goldberg, with the coverage on The View, and with early endometriosis awareness events like the Blossom Bowl, where misinformation about antibiotics and treatment was promoted publicly and enthusiastically by Whoopi Goldberg herself, which continued this narrative throughout the years and presented on through The View as well and through People magazine. I'm sure she's still spreading it out through today. These inaccuracies were reported. They were amplified. They were shared in the very public space that these organizations open up and pitch their advocacy through. They were never meaningfully corrected and were never acknowledged. That misinformation echoed forward for years, showing up again later in interviews, in later headlines, in later articles, including coverage for People magazine and US Weekly. This is not about blaming a celebrity for trusting what they were told. We're far beyond that now. This is about institutional responsibility because organizations like the Endometriosis Foundation of America repeatedly position themselves as authoritative voices in this space. They accept donations, they promote celebrity spokespeople who are already, super, super rich. They celebrate media coverage, which is often false narratives. And they partner with stars who double donations and drive visibility. But visibility without correction is not advocacy. Visibility without accurate representation is not advocacy. If mainstream media is getting definitions wrong, descriptive factors wrong, population framing wrong, and timelines wrong, then organizations claiming leadership should be intervening. They should be clarifying, they should be correcting, and they should be educating properly using proper, evidence-based resources that have existed for over 75 years, especially now. Because we are also watching major endometriosis organizations align themselves with massive philanthropic funding streams like the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, funding that will shape research priorities, disease framing, and scientific direction for years to come. And you can't build good research on bad language. You just can't. And we are living that every day. right now in the 21st century. You cannot fix a disease while misrepresenting who it affects. You cannot claim progress while recycling the same debunked PR-driven narratives that were created to be, part of the problem in the first place. And you surely cannot be sitting here spouting, information that has, been here and claiming that it's new information, such as the, cancer recognition that has been around for over 20 years, that the same celebrity organization is now counting as new evidence. Now, this is not a call to cancel anybody. It's a call to grow up as a field, as a group, as organizations, and most importantly, as a system. Endometriosis does not need celebrity storytelling. It needs accountability. It needs precision. It needs organizations brave enough to correct the record instead of protecting the narrative, protecting the money. Because patients are not props. And this disease is not a branding opportunity. This isn't accidental. This is how misinformation gets laundered. It enters through a familiar face. It gets stamped by a trusted logo. And then it leaves the public believing something that is fundamentally untrue. Meanwhile, patients are still being dismissed, still being underdiagnosed, and still being told their disease is stress, hormones, or something they should just manage better. I wonder why. If you're truly committed to education, then accuracy has to matter more than the optics. Silence in the face of misinformation is not neutrality. It's an endorsement. And I will be honest, this goes much deeper than just one video. This is a rabbit hole. Media patterns, institutional silence, funding influence, and decades of narratives that do not hold up under scrutiny. I could keep going, and I will. But some of this deserves proper investigation, proper documentation, and accountability. Not just a soundbite. Go sign the petition, because awareness without accountability changes nothing.